OK, we're now joined by Head of Crime and Justice at Policy Exchange, David Spencer. David, thank you so much for joining us. I mean, they are damning statistics here. I mean, people are very, very unhappy with the service they're getting from the whole legal system from start to finish. What do you make of what's going on here?
Good morning. Well, I don't think it's really a huge surprise that this is what the public think. We've seen in the last 10 years that knife crime's gone up about 90%. In the last 3 years, we've seen robberies up a third. Shoplifting is now at the highest levels ever recorded. So it shouldn't be a surprise to any of us when we've got this sort of epidemic of crime wave going on our streets, that this is what the public are thinking. And when Policy Exchange looked at these issues earlier this year and last year, we asked the public, one of the questions we asked them was, do you think that the police and the government are getting things about right? Do you want a softer approach to crime, a tougher approach to crime? And what they told Policy Exchange very clearly was that the public wanted a far tougher approach to crime. Now, that's not hugely surprising, perhaps, but what is surprising is that that was the answer across every single demographic group. It doesn't matter how old you are, what ethnicity you are, what your economic background, and even supporters of every single political party want a tougher approach to crime. And when we see the crime that's happening on our streets, and you can see some of the scenes of it on the footage at the moment, it is unsurprising the public want unequivocally a tougher approach to crime.
Is it possible to pin down why we've seen the escalation, David, and therefore what we need to do to fix this?
Well, I think that one of the things that's often forgotten in this debate is that the principal cause of crime is criminals. And a lot of those people are, quite frankly, wicked. And unfortunately, we send nowhere near enough of them to prison. The reality is, again, Policy Exchange has looked at this data. Even the most prolific criminals get away, having been convicted with another crime, of not going to prison. So you can have, actually, if you look at the data, 75 previous convictions in court, 75, and actually in over half of cases, you'll get away with a community sentence and a slap on the wrist. You won't go to prison. So that's the case in 54%. And you need to have like 75 convictions and you still don't go to prison. So I think the public are pretty shocked by this. And that's what the poll you're talking about today is revealing.
Yeah, and many other people taking part in this poll do blame sky-high immigration and the failure to integrate to fueling the crime wave. What do you say to that?
Well, we've got thousands of foreign national offenders in our prisons at the moment. Nowhere near enough of them are being sent back to their country of origin. And the reality is, because we're filling our prisons with those people, there are other offenders that are getting away with it with a community slap on the wrist. So every single foreign national offender should be being sent back to their country of origin. There is absolutely no reason for us to turn around in this country and say, actually, you've committed crimes here, then you should be able to stay. And Policy Exchange has recommended that a number of times. So foreign national offenders absolutely should not have the right to remain in this country.
What about confidence? Because you've got to have public confidence in a system, haven't you? I mean, particularly law and order. And when we're seeing, as you said, a lot of people committing what we would perceive to be, even just sort of bog standard crimes, your theft, your burglary, your vandalism, car theft, all that sort of thing, not getting any custodial sentence, but obviously some tweeters are getting that. But, and even, I mean, I noticed Jeremy Clarkson saying, the people who cut down the Sycamore Gap tree, they got quite a hefty custodial sentence. Now, it might have been an awful thing that they did, but there are a lot more serious crimes when people are just getting away with it.
Yeah, and it does feel like when you look at whether it's the police or the courts, the criminal justice system as a whole, it does feel like lots of things are just awry in lots of different ways. So, one of the things that we've talked about before is non-crime hate incidents. We are seeing thousands of these things being recorded every single year. We've said at Policy Exchange that we believe that they pose a chilling effect on free speech, and they're a huge distraction from what the police should be focusing on, which is crime. And yet thousands of these things are being recorded every single year. So, when you ask the public, do you think your local police force is doing a good job? Certainly in the big cities, most people do not say yes. You're talking about rates of 40, 45, 44% people say the police do a good job, and that's just not good enough.
David, just quickly and finally, do you think the government will take, or any politician will take any notice of this survey, though? Nothing. We have all these surveys and nothing seems to get done.
Well, I think they certainly should, because when we've looked at this sort of data and we ask people, and not just us, but others as well, when we ask people how important is this and how is this likely to affect how you're going to vote in a few years' time, then the message is pretty loud and clear and should be very, very worrying for people in number 10. What people want is the police to be tough on crime, for the criminal justice system to send the most prolific offenders to prison. And if the government doesn't deliver on that, people will look at political parties that say they will.
Okay, David Spencer, thank you.